Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Fruity News with me, Ronnie. And the news today, the story today in terms of what's happening in the world of fruit, is that apparently Parliament in the UK is forking out a lot of money to have some fig trees or to maintain some fig trees. So somewhere near a building called Portcullis House, which is down in London, I expect, they have planted these fig trees. I think it might be inside the building. I think they might be inside the building, and that's kind of the problem because these fig trees are inside the building, and if you plant trees inside buildings, it causes problems with leaning and issues with the trees falling over and things like that. So what they have to do is prop these up. And apparently, to maintain these trees, they have to spend like £20,000 a year to maintain these fig trees, and they're going to be spending an extra 10,000 or something to keep these trees up. So this is the kind of sort of mad spending habits, I suppose, that happens. I don't know why they couldn't just put them in plant pots or something, or I don't really understand why it's so expensive to prop these trees up. But that's what's happening anyway. But the question is that expensive for fruit trees or for fig trees or anything? Well, who knows? And I was thinking that maybe if some of these politicians are to eat some of these figs, if they are actual proper fig trees that produce figs, then who knows what that could inspire? It might awaken some of them a little bit to some interesting new ideas. So fig trees shouldn't really be that expensive, but in this situation obviously they are, and maybe that's also a problem with government spending and things like that they end up spending lots of money on things like fig trees or trees or whatever that shouldn't be that expensive, but that's kind of what happens when you're spending other people's money. You maybe don't think about it like that. Well, that's, if you look on Google, you'll find that story today, £20,000 fig trees in UK Parliament. So one person I was in contact with recently, round about this time of year is a good time to plant trees. This is a little segue, trying to segue into, so if any of you are looking to plant a fruit tree this year, then around about now is a good time if you're hoping to maybe get some fruit, not a lot, but maybe something in September time, August, September, depending on what part of the country. The further north you are, then you have to wait into maybe September, but this further south, you might get something in July or August. And in this country, you're thinking about apple trees, pear trees, plum trees, cherry trees as well, and potentially, depending on where you are, nectarines, peaches. That would be very far south, but you could put them against the wall and they will grow against the wall potentially because the wall gets captures heat, and that makes a significant difference to the tree, so that to the conditions. So if you're thinking about planting a fruit tree, round about now is a good time of year, and the best way to plant fruit trees, if you've got a large, huge space and you just want to plant some trees, then you can just plant some trees. But if you have a smaller space, or if you're looking to be a bit more economical with the space you have, you should consider a cordon of fruit trees, which is fruit trees trained along a fence. And some of you might think, oh, don't like to restrict the tree from its natural growth or whatever, but you put a post at one end, you put a post at the other end, you put metal wire across, and then you plant the fruit trees at about a foot apart or so, maybe a little bit more, and you train them at an angle like this all the way across. And what that does is it makes the fruit tree grow more like a branch rather than trying to grow up like a tree. It'll start sprouting like a branch. That's the theory anyway. And what it does is you can have 8 different types of fruit tree in a very small space, 8 different types of fruit or 8 different types of apple, and they'll grow pretty quickly, and they'll become quite productive quite quickly. And also, if it's just a fence you're looking for, it's an attractive fence, and all the benefits of fruit trees come along with it. Like, it creates obviously more oxygen, it creates a habitat for bees, for other animals and insects and things like that. What you probably want to be cautious with is, for example, planting seeds. So if you just start planting seeds and sprouting trees, you've got no idea how big that's going to grow. You've got no idea what the fruit, if any fruit will come off it, or if it'll be good. Most likely, it's not going to be. It's not going to be great fruit. Most likely, especially with temperate climate fruits like apples and peaches and stuff. If you plant an apple from seed, your chances of getting an edible apple are about 1 in 10,000. So you'd have to plant 10,000 seeds to get an edible apple. If you want an apple that's good enough for like the shops, or something like that, if you want to create the next Golden Delicious or the next Gala or the next Granny Smith, they say it's 1 in a million. 1 in a million seeds will plant. So you want to buy a rootstock. You probably want to buy a dwarf rootstock because you probably don't want a humongous tree, but you want a tree that doesn't grow too high. So you get different rootstocks, dwarf rootstocks, and they determine how tall the tree is going to grow. And then what happens is they graft on Granny Smith or whatever, Discovery, different apple varieties onto that. So the apples grow, but it doesn't grow up into the full apple tree size. So you probably want to look at dwarf trees. You want to consider that. Your local garden centre will have all this. But if you want a bit more specialty to it, there is a few places you can go. And one guy I know that's doing it at the moment is called John Hancock's, and he runs a place called Scottish Fruit Trees. Now, although it's called Scottish Fruit Trees, all the trees will be fine for England as well, Wales, everywhere else. In fact, they'll probably grow better in England and down in Wales than they will in Scotland. But anyway, they're varieties that are fine for the UK climate and that do well in the UK climate. So check them out, scottishfruittrees.co.uk, I believe, or if you search on Google, Scottish Fruit Trees. And I think he's saying he's really busy at the moment because this is the time of year. But, get in touch with him. Maybe, because he's so busy, maybe try not to, if you've got a question for him, maybe wait till a little later on in the year so he's got some more time. If you are looking for, what am I trying to say? If you are looking just to buy a tree, and you've got no other questions, you just want to buy a tree and get a good one, then contact John, scottishfruittrees.co.uk. Just a little plug for a friend of mine that I've known for a number of years. I actually bumped into him yesterday, found out what he was doing, and I want to, eventually I'm speaking to John, maybe we can create something together in some way, or maybe he can come and give a talk to a local group here about fruit trees because he's got a lot of knowledge about fruit trees. He's not a fruitarian, he's not a raw vegan, but he's got a passion for growing fruit trees and for orchards and things like that, and he puts orchards all over Glasgow. So he's a little bit of a local legend in the fruit world. So check him out, John Hancock, scottishfruittrees.co.uk. I'm fairly sure he'll ship to England as well if you're looking to buy some trees. And the great thing is that he has heritage varieties. So heritage varieties that are likely to work really well in this climate, but there's also a bit of history to them. And some of these varieties are kind of dying out, so we really want more people to plant these varieties so that we maintain the genetics, because it's, as I said, it's 1 in a million to get a really great apple. So we don't want to lose these genetics. So thanks for listening. If you want to learn more about the fruitarian, fruit-based lifestyle, come to UK Fruit Fest. This year we've got a really, really, really special announcement coming up for everyone that's interested in coming. Super, super special announcement. and it's going to blow your mind. Some of you're going to be really amazed. But it's going to be fantastic. If you want to jump on, be part of it, fruitfest.co.uk/registration. It's a great time to register because you'll get the lowest price available now rather than wait until later on when the prices are going to rise. So come to Fruitfest. You will learn so much. You'll be part of this community. You'll get friends, friendship, education, confidence. We'll really take care of you in every single way possible, and the food's going to be astounding as well. That's another great announcement we've got to make about the food, but we'll let you know in another video. So thanks a lot for watching. Speak to you soon. Get your fruit trees, scottishfruittrees.co.uk, and come to Fruitfest. Okay, thanks very much.